Tim Ryan, CEO of Australian Meat Industry Council. Tim, thanks so much for your time. So you just heard the Republican senator's comments there. What's your reaction to it?
No, and thanks for having me today. And the discussion's extremely timely because I'm also calling from halfway through our meat industry processing export conference being held as we speak. So very timely to have these discussions. Look, we saw the announcement last week from the US with tariffs. It's disappointing the US has gone down this approach. It's a stark shift from what we've been used to in terms of operating under a free and fair trading regime. The comments directed towards Australia, I suppose, from the US industry. Look, to be clear, there is no ban on US beef coming into the Australian market. We have been working through over a number of years the necessary biosecurity and food safety requirements that the US would need to meet. They are very much a separate discussion to what we've been, I suppose, seeing over the last week, and particularly the tariff announcement. Those formal processes, though, to review the biosecurity and food safety programs in the US have just failed to conclude, and they're still open and being worked through by both governments.
Okay, so do those biosecurity rules, are they overly too restrictive for American producers, and is that what is the problem, or is it something else?
No, so I suppose to start, Australia takes its biosecurity extremely seriously. We have built a thriving livestock and broader agricultural sector in Australia. A large part of our success is our animal health status and broader pest-free status. So clearly, we don't want to jeopardise that. The US industry has been working through what it needs to meet Australia's requirements. Those negotiations are ongoing through formal processes, and there probably is a pathway where they can meet what Australia requires, but they still need to work through that and demonstrate that entering the Australian market is effectively delivering the same outcomes of what our domestic consumers expect of our domestic industry in terms of ensuring that we maintain high biosecurity and food safety standards.
It's been said that Australian beef is much leaner than American source beef, and they mix our leaner beef into patties with the fattier varieties, and they would still need that leaner beef and will probably still keep buying Australian beef. Otherwise, their meat patties and burgers would just be too fatty. Is that right?
Yeah, and the US Senator talked about the large volume of beef going into the US market. There's a real, I suppose, complementary aspect to our industry and the US industry. The US industry produces a lot of meat. They're a huge driver of the global meat market. But it's really about the nature of the cuts composition and the type of beef that we produce and they produce. The US loves a burger. And we can produce lean trim that goes into mixing with their own fattier product to make the right fat to meat ratio mix in their domestic industry. That's a fundamental aspect of the trade relationship. But we also produce a wide variety of other cuts, even grass-fed products. A large part of the US is covered by snow for a large chunk of the year. So the ability to produce grass-fed beef is particularly difficult. So products that Australia produces actually complement the grain-fed dominated US industry quite well too.
So, Tim, does that mean that America will just keep buying Australian beef no matter what, or will high prices lead to reduced demand anyway in the US and there's still going to be a significant impact?
The tariffs that were announced last week in the magnitude of 10%, they are a cost that needs to get factored in between the producer and the consumer. On about $6 billion worth of trade, that's still a large cost that needs to be factored in, and we'll see markets adjust. But I can't see that preventing trade from continuing. At the moment, the US is in a cyclical low with its cattle herd. There's a clear gap in its own meat production. That gap can't be lifted overnight domestically. You simply can't fast-track biology that quickly and feed that many animals to replace any shortfall currently being met by imports. So for the at least immediate future, I think Australia will continue to play an important role in supplementing US production.
Sure. And Tim, we've got 30 seconds. I just want to get this out as well. If exports to the US are dialed back in some way, will that cause prices of Australian beef to drop here because there's more supply, or is it not that simple?
It's not that simple. A lot of what we send to the US comes from, I suppose, a different cut mix to what we send on the domestic market. So Australians love mince, but I think we'd be hard pressed to convince them to eat 4 times as many burgers a week than they currently do. So it's probably more a diversion or a mix up of our global export portfolio if we do see any product diverted away from the US. But that said, I can't see us pulling out of the US anytime soon.